I'm making a more involved lunch today. I'm making pan-fried potatoes, salmon, and possibly some mixed veggies. I'll decide probably halfway through my dinner if I want the veggies. I'm gonna make sure that I have plenty of leftovers for not just dinner, but for tomorrow as well when I go to lunch when I go to work. I'm just chopping up or not chopping up. My brain is just doing what my brain does. Uh, I'm peeling some potatoes for my lunch slash dinner and leftovers. I want to make sure that I have plenty of leftovers because it's not just myself, it's also my husband. Um, since my husband works really late, that one was stuck. Since my husband works really late, I want to make sure that that I cook for him and all that. Whenever I start working, it tends to I like cooking and baking, and so that tends to fall on me, which I prefer. Uh, but he does help me out a lot more with laundry and cleaning the house and stuff like that, in case anybody was wondering. So now that they're peeled and cleaned, I'm gonna just cut them up into small chunks, and that way I can use my veggie chopper. So roughly about that size seems to work. If you want some smaller potatoes, um, you could always just cut it that small chunk into half. Just like that. Usually on these big potatoes, I'll do three chunks and then cut in half. And then on the smaller ones, I usually do it in half and then cut those into half. And I have my veggie chopper right here. This particular one I bought on Amazon. I don't know, maybe 6 months to about a year ago. But I think you can just find these in like um, a Walmart or a Target. I'm not sure. But that is the brand that I got. It does have this little padded part, which is nice. But it has made it easier for me, especially when my arthritis is acting up, to be able to cut uh, things like potatoes. So I usually just put about two of them, maybe three, depending on the size, and then just do that. And, it also helps with some anger. It just gives you a chance to be productive about it, right? And so that is how I'm going to chop this. And it helps everything be consistent as well. I put a little bit of oil and just enough to evenly coat the bottom. I don't want a whole lot in there. And I'm going to keep chopping my potatoes until they're all done. So now that I'm done, I did maybe about a third of a 10-pound bag of potatoes. It just almost fills this entire thing up. For my potatoes, I don't want anything too heavily seasoned, so I'm gonna just use these two items. I'm not in Texas anymore, but I'm using my last little bit of the HEB seasoning. And so you'll just season yours to taste. If these are not the seasonings that you want, then don't do that. Pick something that you would find appetizing. And I'm going to just make sure that it's evenly coated. Now that my potatoes are prepped, I'm just waiting for the pan to heat up. I'm going to get started on my salmon. So I just lined a baking dish with some foil and put my salmon fillets in here. I did butter the foil as well just to make sure it's not gonna stick. I'm gonna season both sides with this flavor. And again, if the flavor doesn't sound appetizing to you, then I would just go ahead and pick something else. I'm gonna do a nice helping of seasoning. That's what I prefer on my salmon. I'm gonna flip those over and I'm gonna season the other side as well. After seasoning both sides, I just took my hands and massaged it into the salmon. Since that looks good to me, I'm waiting for my oven to heat up at 375. I'm gonna check it maybe about 10 minutes in, see if I want to, how much longer I want to leave it in for. But generally, I'll do that for about 20 minutes. While my dinner is frying up and cooking in the oven, I'm gonna make some dessert. So I'm using this. I do like the plain yogurts just because I like to season them myself. I'm gonna add some of this into it. And if you're gonna do the same thing, just season it to taste. So I have a 8-ounce jar of an 8-ounce mason jar. I did about a cup according to uh, the label on the yogurt. And then I'm not even sure how much I put in of that Jello packet. I just, kept going until it tasted good to me. I'm gonna add some mini chocolate chips, but I do things like this with other flavors as well. You know, it has strawberry, vanilla, pistachio, if that's what you're into. So they have a few different flavors that you could do something like this with, and then just top it with whatever you want, almost like a homemade froyo. If you feel like your yogurt got a little thicker than what you wanted, you could always add a little bit more yogurt, and that might make the consistency a little bit better, a little bit more to your liking. So I'm done with that. I have about another 5 minutes on the salmon, and I'm not sure, maybe about another 10-15 minutes on the potatoes, and I will be right back once it's all done. The salmon is all done, but pulling it out was super hot because apparently these are not that thick, and so it had me like, you know, hard. But this is what the potatoes are looking like, and that is what the salmon looks like right now. I did forget to mention that about half of the potatoes I put on just to soften them up, and then I put them in the fridge for my husband to finish cooking later. Um, I just didn't have enough time to go through all the potatoes and get them all cooked, but you won't mind. So I have about 2 cups of fried potatoes in here, along with two of the salmon fillets. I did leave the skin on just to leave them intact until I get ready to eat them. But this is what my dinner slash lunch is gonna look like for tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'm gonna go ahead and just put everything that I haven't gathered up in that container into the fridge. And if you have any questions or anything, you're more than welcome to comment.